The moderator for this panel conversation is an international event host, an award-winning radio presenter, a diction coach, a voiceover artist, and communication specialist. She's an excellent compere who has hosted a myriad of events across the continent Africa. Please let's make welcome the one and only, the Gloria Olufeko. A round of applause for her. We have an innovative leader within the financial education space in Africa. She's a founder and current CEO of 12, a digital financial wellness company that provides its services through digital communities and technology. She's celebrated as one of 100 most inspiring women in Africa by Leading Ladies Africa. Ladies and gentlemen, please make welcome our one and only Tomi Balogun. I'll bring up the next panelist. She's an alumna of the University of Lagos, where she studied estate management, after which she founded her first company, Silver Lining Events and Decor, in 2013. She was privileged to host the then sitting president, President Goodluck Jonathan, and the former president of the United States of America, President Bill Clinton, at the commemoration of the 500,000 square meters of the Eco-Atlantic project. So we have distinguished people on this panel. Please let us make welcome Sefiya, Diejomaoh, to join this conversation. And finally, to join them, we have the founder and CEO of Keeper Africa, a fintech startup that's revolutionizing digital payments for small businesses in Nigeria. In under 2 years, Keeper has secured over $10 million from global fintech investors, breaking ground in the industry. Please let's make welcome Mr. Kennedy Ekezie Joseph to join this conversation.
Hi, everyone. All right, let's do this real quickly. Look to your left, look to your right, give your neighbor a very heavy high five and say, let's talk money. Come on, do it again. Say, let's talk money. Yes. Thank you very much. Thank you. Please, a round of applause to Moji Bade doing an amazing work. Yeah, well done, Moji. Yes, happy birthday, Rennie. She stepped out so much. Okay, so we're going to be talking money today. And I'll please ask my panelists to be as Gen Z and millennial as possible with their answers. Because money talk, sometimes it can be very funny and very you dig. So please help us make your answers as Gen Z as possible. Share your experiences, even as we go on, because we have just 25 minutes. And if you have questions, please, you can just note your questions down. So we're talking about money because money is very important. I mean, we couldn't have planned this event if there was no money. And it's very important for us as young people to have healthy financial habits, because whatever financial decision it is you make in your 20s will have a long way, even when you're in your 30s and in your 40s. So please pay rapt attention even as we discuss, and our panelists will surely do justice to our questions for today. Okay, let's go into what's very important. First off, let's talk investments. Ken. Hi, Ken. Okay, so you help us differentiate between savings and investment. We want to understand what's the difference between both of them. What's savings? What's investment?
Hi, everyone. It's really good to be here and to see everyone, and thanks for having me. So very simply, I think it's something that we probably all know. The difference between both is the difference between more short-term thinking and long-term thinking. So at its core, what savings means practically is putting aside a portion of your income, resources for rainy days when they come. So it's meant to be used with a very short to mid-term view in mind. And investments are more long-term. Investments require a lot more planning and more longer term horizon thinking. The difference also between savings and investment, because you have money in your bank, in your Zenith Bank or FCMB or whatever bank you use, does not necessarily mean you know how to invest it. So there is very many paths to invest in. People invest in stocks, people invest in the S&P 500, people invest in mutual funds, people invest in bonds, and for you have to choose what level of risk you're tolerant with. and build your own personal investment strategy against that. It's actually worth spending some time learning. And I'm 24 years old, and for me, long-term investment is still one I'm trying to figure out and learn. Like, what should I be investing my money in? And this period of our lives is the best time for us to spend time learning that. But savings, we are not used to that. It's what we do with our piggy boxes.
Thank you very much. Thank you. So a number of people were surprised when you said 24. Why now? Okay, I would like to hear from you, Tomi, because I know you're really, really big into that. That's what we know Tomi for. So help us differentiate again in your own words. Yeah.
All right. Hello, everyone. Great to be here. So the difference between savings and investment, to break it down very simply, savings is basically putting your money and stacking it up. Investment is putting your money to work. Now, which would you rather prefer, putting your money to work or stacking up money? I want your response. Yeah, that's because, I was here for the first panel, which was the career panel, right? Talked a lot and they shared a lot about how you can get into the right positions, get the right job, and all of that. And you do all of that to earn income, right? You're putting in all the hours, all of the effort, all of your resources to earn income. Now, think about earning that income, taking a portion of it, and then putting it to work. And that money continues to work when you're sleeping. It never takes a break. Sometimes you would have to take a break. You need to take a vacation break, or you just want to take a break from work or something. But guess what? That money doesn't stop working. So that's how I would define investment in simple terms. Now, the thing with savings is that you put it in a stack. It's very, very liable to earn so many things, such as indicators such as inflation, currency devaluation, into it, right? And this is not even just a local phenomenon, it's a global. The US is going through inflation. It's quite stable now, but in this part of the world, inflation is double digits. Now, do we know when that is going to stop? No. We also have currency devaluation. We don't know when that is going to stop. Just about a decade ago, it was 150 to $1. Just a decade ago. Okay, imagine a 10-year-old child. It's not even 50 years ago, right? So if you're thinking and considering savings, I would say consider very, very carefully, right, what the plan is and what the goal is. Now, it's very important for you to have emergency funds. Now, emergency funds, if you know what emergency funds are, it's money you keep aside for an emergency in case something comes up. And typically, experts say you should have at least 3 to 6 months worth of your salary. So let's say your salary is 100,000 naira. You should have at least 300,000 naira in an emergency fund. Now, that is something you can put and say, I want to put that in a savings fund. And please, at minimum, consider like a money market fund. I don't want to get into too many things here, but I would say that if you just put it in a bank account doing nothing, it's losing money to inflation. Last year, we could buy a loaf of bread for 500 naira. This year is how much? That's just inflation in very simple terms. So your money has to be working for you. Let me end with that.
Thank you very much. Thank you. Please celebrate Tomi. Come on. Thank you. All right, Tomi, still with you. Let's talk about building long-term wealth. Okay? How that what we have is not just for the now, but for the later. Years to come, we can still say that, we have substantial amount of money. What are some of the key financial and investment strategies that young people seated in this room can use to build long-term wealth for themselves? And not just for themselves, but even for generations that will come after them.
Great question. So I thought long and hard about this question. And to be honest, the first speaker said a lot in terms of the things you'd hear about personal finance. So I'm going to be saying things that are probably non-traditional, but they are very, very key to building a long-term investment portfolio. And I will speak about 4 key things. The first thing is your mindset. Trust me, if you don't get your mind right, it's always going to hold you back. And I say this very consciously because we live in an environment that can really, really put like a blur on your mindset. It's very easy to get carried away with all of the problems and all of the issues we're going through as an economy, that it's very easy to just think that it's so hard to create wealth or it's so hard to be rich. But one of the things we need to understand is you need to come into a place of abundance thinking, that in spite of whatever is happening in the environment around you, you can create your own economy. Now mindset is very important. For the past year or so, I've actually been studying some mindset and consciousness and neuroscience because I've come to see how much it affects your finances. Now, there are 2 types of consciousness that experts define. There's the poverty consciousness and the wealth consciousness. Guess what? There is no vacuum. You either have a wealth consciousness and a poverty consciousness. Let me tell you what the difference is. So if you see something and the first thing that comes to your mind is, I can't afford this. This is too expensive. Most likely you have a poverty consciousness. And I'm saying that it happens to the best of us. Now, if you have a wealth consciousness, it's very different because you think, how can I afford this? Very simple, but very different. I'll tell you a story. One day I was in the supermarket with my children, and my daughter was looking at something that she wanted on the, a toy on the counter. And my son immediately tells her that, oh, mommy won't buy that, it's expensive. And I stopped in my tracks. Where did this child learn the concept of expensive? And it was such a wake-up call for me that my husband and I had probably been talking about it and we didn't even realize. And I had to stop and say, no, how do we afford this? And that's how we speak in our house now. Mommy, we want this. Okay, how do we afford this? What do we do to work towards? Your mindset is very important. The second thing is something that the first man has really talked about. You have to be a person of value. And you know why? A person of value attracts money. You don't chase money. You attract it. Because like they said, like if you said very specifically, when you're someone that brings value to any organization, you will be paid well. You are a solution provider, and the world continues to look for people that provide solutions. So you always have to increase your ability to earn, to be able to invest effectively. Because if you're not earning enough, you cannot invest enough. Now, how do you earn enough? You become a person of value that continues to attract value. The third thing I would say is you need access to information. Let's be real. The reasons why rich people get richer in this country is because they have access to information that a lot of people do not have. I'll tell you that the truth for free. A lot of deals happen in closed rooms that are very profitable that a lot of people know about. So you need to get access to information. So last year, my mentor called me and says, Tomi, I just bought 1 million units of these shares. You need to buy it now. And I was like, why? He says, because the book value is lower than the market value. He explained this to me in like, stock market terms. And he says, buy it now. And I said, okay. And I went to meet my husband and he says, okay, let's buy it. And within 6 months, we did over 200% on that stock. Access to information. And that was because, my mentor could call me. And then final thing is discipline. If you can't be disciplined in 1 million naira, you can't be disciplined in 100 million naira. Let's be real, because you're just going to level up. I don't know how many of you have that thing that you said, oh, if I just earn this amount of money on a monthly basis, my life will be all right, I'll be fine. And then now you're earning that money, but you know why there's inflation, there's currency devaluation, but even your expenses have leveled up. So those 4 key things I say are very key. You always have to have the right mindset. You have to, be a person of value, access to information, and of course, you have to be disciplined.
Thank you very much. Please celebrate Tomi. Thank you. All right, let's come to you, Sefiya. You're really into real estate. And real estate is such a viable industry in Nigeria as we speak right now. You hear a lot of invest. If you don't buy now, you snooze, you lose. A lot of buy now and all of that. Now help us. How do we prepare for retirement in terms of investing? I'm very sure that this room is not only filled with people in their 20s. We have people in their 40s, in their 60s. How do they then prepare for retirement when it comes to investing? You can use real estate as an example.
Right, of course. So, speaking about real estate, in this room we have a lot of people that are young, in their 20s. What I would tell someone in their 20s is definitely different from what I would tell someone in their 40s or 50s or 60s. But the primary thing about real estate is location. Number 1 thing is location. Number 2 is location. And number 3 is what? Please don't forget that. Now I will say something, and a lot of people already know this. There's something called the time value of money. It also speaks to depreciations, inflation, and the rest of it. The time value of money has to be in your subconscious. So you hear a story and you hear somebody say, I know my auntie bought land in Lekki 15 years ago, and she bought that land for 100,000 naira, and today is selling for 300 million. Who has heard a story like that before? Those stories are true. It's not made up, it is true. And that's what the time value of money does. The small money you had 15 years ago can multiply, can appreciate into unbelievable sums, and it's an edge against inflation. So when I say location, for the young people today, I will tell you something that you typically would not hear. In Nigeria, we have peculiarities when it comes to real estate that are not peculiar to other places, other countries where there is a lot of development. In Nigeria, we struggle with infrastructure, roads, drainages, and the rest of it. So I'll say this. Typically you hear go where people are going to invest in real estate. That's wrong. Don't go where people are going. Go where the government is going. And I'll explain. Some years back, we had Lagos as the capital of Nigeria. Ikeja being the central place where we had a lot of government offices, liaison offices, ministries, and the rest of it. What's the value of land in Ikeja today? In the GRAs, in the common places that you know, they are very high, very similar to what you have on the island axis of Lagos. Now, when the capital moved to Abuja and Lagos became more like a regular state, people started moving away from Ikeja, coming over to Victoria Island and the rest of it. But it's still the same concept. In the colonial days, we had the government putting a lot of infrastructure in Ikoyi, in VI, and that is what gave it the value it has today. Speaking to people in their 20s, go where the government is going. The government is in Ibejuleki right now, and you have time. You are 20 today, in 30 years you will be 50. And in 30 years, that land that has been advertised for 5 million will not be 5 million. It could be 500 million. The time value of money is going to apply on that property. It would have served as an edge against inflation. Of course, for somebody who is 60, I will not tell you to go to Ibejuleki, because if you're going there, you're probably doing that for your grandchild. And that's, honestly speaking, apologies. Apologies, but we know that is true. You're probably doing it for your children or your grandchildren. So I would be advising you to invest in maybe off-plan properties where you can get value for your money within a very, very short time. I hope
yes,
that
thank
has
you very
brought
much.
some insight.
A round of applause. Yes. Go where the government is going. All right, Mr. Ayo. Help us. We want to know what opportunities we can invest in as young people. There are lots of investment opportunities everywhere. Some will tell you invest in stocks, some it's crypto, some it's real estate, some it's tech. We want to know what are some of the investment strategies that individuals, what I want to ask is how can investors rather identify and evaluate high quality investment opportunities? How can we know what opportunities to invest in as young people?
Okay, thank you very much for that wonderful question. And the interesting thing for young people is you have the ability to take risk and to also learn. But when we speak directly to some of those key investments, one, you need to first understand what are the traditional investments. So that once you understand what the traditional investment offers, when you see very complex products, you would be able to know the difference in terms of the return that you would get. I'm trying to say how it can be as basic as possible. So for instance, we know treasury bills, government. Currently for 1 year treasury bills in the market, treasury bills is like you are lending government money. We all know, yes, some people may worry that will government be able to pay. We know that they can print money. We can worry about inflation, but they can always print money to pay. Once an instrument is issued in the currency of that country, it means that there's a bit of control. Yes, Ghana is a different example. We saw that their currency, they took a haircut of about 50%, which is unique. We don't expect it to happen all the time. So once you know treasury bills is 10%, if I come to you and I'm offering you investment that I can pay you 30%, the first question you will ask is, where are you putting this money? One thing, I'm promising you, I'm saying guaranteed. If it's trading, you hear different kind of business. If it's trading and I'm guaranteeing you, then you should be wary, because even for those that are using algorithms to trade, because I know a lot of young people trade FX, but you are trading with those that are using algorithms to trade, and it's a complex situation that you can lose all your money. Then you will know that what you are trying to put your money in is not secured. I'm starting from that level for us to understand those basic investments. So when you hear interest rates that are significantly higher than the basic interest rate, then it makes you to ask questions. Not all of them are ingenuine, but it makes you to ask questions. Where are you putting this money? What kind of structures do you have currently in the market? You have out what will be applicable to us, FGN savings bond, which government was deliberate to see how Nigeria can build a savings culture. Savings ratio to GDP is still less than 5% compared to some other countries. So every month, government issued FGN savings bond. Minimum is 5,000 naira. It means it's almost accessible to everyone compared to the normal standard FGN bonds that can be as high as 100 million. And it is secure, and they pay you return every 3 months. You can start keying in. It's a form of savings that you will not be able to have access to. Commercial paper is also some, but you need to look at the rating. But if you don't want to go into those complexities, mutual fund solves the problem for you. It helps you to gather your investment or put your investment all together. So you have mutual funds that have underlying asset. What I mean is where they invest the money. Equity mutual fund, it means they put the money in stocks. Money market mutual funds, they put the money in money markets. There's real estate, if it's mutual fund, REITs, they put the money in real estate. So what you just ask is, what type of mutual fund is this? They are dollar denominated mutual fund. We all spoke about reason to invest in dollars. So once you understand that, that will help you solve the complexity. But as young people, we need to also read and gather knowledge about these things. We have the opportunity to gather that knowledge. So once you learn about it, if it's a new investment opportunity, always we say test waters. Don't put all, because it's attractive, don't put all your hard-earned money. You can try with a little percentage, and if you get your hand burnt, you learn from it and you get better. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Thank you. Okay, Ken, let's come to you now. All right. Stock, blockchain, crypto, all that phenomenon. Is this safe?
So before I answer the question directly, is this safe? It depends on who is asking. I just, because most of the people in the room today are young people, and I'm sure we're probably losing you a bit with the very high level conversation, and a lot of people are feeling out of touch. Because the practical truth is, if you're in your 20s, the theme of this conference is maximizing your 20s, right? And you're earning 150, 200K, investing in long-term, like money market mutual funds, it seems very much out of reach for you. You're trying to eke out a living. You're trying to pay your transport and get to work and pay for your rent, right? And I'm not sure everyone will agree with this. When we think about investing your money, investing your resources in your 20s, my thought on this, and Tomi alluded to this, is it is probably most prudent for you to invest in yourself and your ability to outsize the amount of income you can earn much later in your life. Personally, so my first job out of college, right, I was earning 100K. Like, it barely could pay for my transport, and I was living with a friend. At the same time, I was saving 20% of that in one of the bank's, money market mutual fund programs. And 1 year in, I'm like, this is nothing, right? And looking back now, the 20K a month I was saving, I probably could have used it to buy a course or, learn and invest very specifically in me. So it's not mutually exclusive, but I think it's very important that we have to realize that how much and how wealthy we are going to be when we're 60 has very little or nothing to do with how much we're earning by the time we're 20, 21, 22, probably up until 30, right? A lot of wealth generation, and the older people in this room will tell us that, is built when you're in your 40s, your 50s, your 60s, and much later in your life. And the second part of this is we also have to set realistic expectations for ourselves. We are very young people. We live in a very highly globalized society. We pit ourselves against people who live in economies that are very different from us, right? People whose great-grandfathers and their generations have done the work to build solid economies that they've inherited. And we've not inherited that. So maybe we should soft pedal on the soft life too, and be willing to withstand difficulty and play the long game. So to answer the question very directly before the unsolicited advice, on stocks, bonds, I do not think I'm the expert here, honestly. I'm still trying to figure all of that out. But the most important principle, especially if you're going to delve into anything where you're putting your money that's hard-earned, learn. Spend time learning. I think that's what our 20s are for. If you're earning 100K now, this is a time where you learn and build the principles for how you will invest when you're earning $1 million a month. In 5 years. It's now you build that, because when that time comes and you're earning $1 million, there's going to be so many things jumping at you. You have decision paralysis, and it's impossible for you to, to save and invest, and you fall into old habits. So now is the time where you experiment. Put 5K here, put 10K here, put 20K here. Learn, play with money that you can lose, and continue to learn from people who are way ahead of the game than you are.
Thank you very much. Please, let's celebrate him. Thank you. Thank you so much. Sefiya, coming to you. You are such a versatile woman. Fashion, event planning, real estate. You're making money. A lot of it. So help us and help young women, most especially. For now, I'm so particular about girl child. For the men, I'm so sorry about this word. So help us and young women listening to you right now. How do you manage all of this together? How do you cope? How do you merge everything and you strut in and you're doing so well? Give us, don't say God is helping you. Just give us practical tips in 1 minute, quickly.
My only answer is God is helping me. That's such an important question for all of us in this room. A lot of times you hear people ask, how do you balance it all? There's no such thing as balance. Honestly speaking, we juggle. And at different times in your life, you will have a higher priority. Sometimes it's going to be your family. Sometimes it's going to be your marriage. Sometimes it's going to be your children. Sometimes it's going to be developing yourself and investing in yourself. And sometimes it's going to be giving back, like today when our host is giving back to all of us. And sometimes it's going to be learning to balance the art of making money or running your businesses or impacting on your employees and your staff. You would learn to juggle. And that takes discipline. That's what I'll say. Time management skills, very, very vital when it comes to juggling, because you have to give time for anything to grow. For your business, you need to give it time. Your career, you need to give it time. Self-development, you need to give that time. There's no place for cheating. Even with investment, you need to give it time. Let me say something very, very important. And I think our keynote speaker said that you need to give it time. You put in investment in a financial investment bond or whatever, you break it, it's not going to give you the same result as when you leave it there to mature and to multiply itself and to give you the magic of the compounding effect. So the compounding effect you will only get when you give your investments time, when you give every other thing in your life time to grow and to mature. And that's what I'll say.
Thank you very much. Thank you so much. All right, sadly, we have to come to the end of this panel session. Quite a number of questions we've not touched, but for time. But Moji, do we have time for questions? One question. Okay, just one. We have quite a number of hands.
Just before we take questions,
Okay.
if you don't mind,
Tomi.
one more thing I'd like to add is consider collaborating with yourselves. I mean, as much as you don't have all the money, I think one key way you can do that is collaborate with your friends, and that's what I did. I started an investment club in my 20s, and that helped me take a lot of steps forward that I would not have been able to take for myself. So with 50,000 naira, I remember that time it was just after my MBA, 5 of us came together, and every month we had 250. You can do with 20,000 naira, have 100,000. And we started to take steps, and that is what to a large extent crafted my investment journey today. So consider collaborating. Don't think you have to have all the money yourself.
Okay, thank you, Tomi. Thank you so much. Okay, so Moji says we can take 2 questions.
I have the mic. Hi.
Okay.
Okay.
We can't see you.
I'm in the aisle.
Okay, all right.
Okay, so my question is for Tomi. So everyone says diversify, put some money in dollars, but currently with the war, the American stock market is horrible. So there's no even short term at this point. You have to be long term. So my question is this: would you keep putting in money even though it's really horrible, or what would you do at this point? Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, that's like a trick question, right? So, to be honest, right, there's a lot of uncertainty in the global economy and the local economy. And there's a lot of volatility in the markets as well. So it's a tough question to answer if I don't understand to a large extent your current... Is this louder? Okay. So I was saying that to a large extent, there's a lot of uncertainty right now in the global economy and the local economy because there's a lot happening, post-COVID, wars and everything, like you said. And while I may not be able to give you direct answers, I would say that it would depend on your specific, I don't know what else you have, what your current investment portfolio is about. Do you have money anywhere else? I have to look at the entire picture before I can say that. But I'll give you one of the tips we always hear. Warren Buffett, right? He says, when everybody else is greedy, you should be, step back. When everybody else is stepping back, that's when you should be greedy. And let me tell you what happened during the pandemic to give you context. During the pandemic, March 2020, the markets were down, absolutely down, right? I think it was about March. And I was speaking to one of my mentors and he says, look, this is a great time to get into companies, very good companies that are trading at a discount. So when the market is down, a lot of people see opportunity. So the question is, are you looking at the volatility or are you seeing opportunity? Because if you're looking at opportunity, you find that there are a lot of really good companies, and I'm not saying follow trends. A lot of people follow trends, buy this one because it's going to go up tomorrow. That's not what I'm saying. I'm saying there are very good companies that will be trading at a discount. So you would have to do some research and find out what are these good companies you've always heard about or we want to do some due diligence about or some research about, and then if they are trading at a discount, that'll be a good time to get into them and own them now, because ownership is very important. So by March 2020, markets were down, just like we have now. I got into some companies. By October, December, some of them are done 100%. So, the markets always go in cycles. There will be peak periods, there will be low periods. So if the market is down right now, and if you can't afford it, depending on the context, I don't know what you have before, you might want to consider looking for good companies that are trading at a discount. That's what I'll say.
Thank you, Tomi. Thank you so much.
Sorry if I would just add to that. There's what we call dollar cost averaging, because we are talking about investment here. So you are doing it, let's say, on a monthly basis. Maybe it's $50 you are setting aside. So even when it's down, you are not bothered, because in the long run, when you look at the cycle, in the last 50 years, the market will always surpass its past highs. So what I would advise, if you have the appetite for stocks, it means keep buying based on what you have allocated to the stock market. It won't continue like this. In the next 3, 4, 5 years, this economy is in cycles. So keep buying. Apart from like some of the opportunities that Tomi spoke about, that when you see those deep opportunities, take advantage of it. You always expect that things will always turn around. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you. Okay, a very last question.
So this is basically a follow-up question for Kennedy. So I could relate so much with all that he said. And the question is not personal, but it's just to give more light for everyone. So regarding investing in yourself, can you be more practical about it? Because it's easy to say invest in yourself as a young person, but how do you invest in yourself? What are those steps? How can I apply it to my field? Yeah, so I just wanted him to shed more light on that.
So, great question. It's very simple. There's no complex answer that applies to everyone across fields, no matter what it is you're working on. There's at least 3 things I think if you're a young person you should, and you want to invest in yourself. Arithmetic, like learn simple math. Like it's something. It's so important. Public speaking, it outsizes the opportunities that you can access. If there's 2 people who have exactly the same level of skill, the one of them who is better at public speaking is always going to have a longer, wealthier career than the other. Learn how to code, right? Get as close to the metal as possible. There's no one who is too unintelligent, who is too dumb, who is too old to learn how to code. And if you're in your 20s, it's a great time to learn how to, whether or not you're trying to be a software engineer. But what it does and who you become through that process, there's an incredible process of refinement. And of course, there's a lot of very career and domain specific advice. I'll layer on top of that, and I alluded to it earlier. Let's embrace a certain level of discipline and understand that we have to play the long game. The people who we're comparing ourselves to, whether people older than us, I mean, these days everyone looks young, so we can't really tell who is older. So we should stop comparing ourselves to people who are not like us. So those 3 things specifically, and deep down, if we all look within ourselves, we all know ourselves for the fools we are. We all know what areas of our lives need improvement, where we can iron things out. Maybe we're just not working as hard as we possibly can, right? Maybe we need to sleep less, wake up a little bit more, invest a few more hours into studying. We all know that for sure if we use our tongues to count our teeth. And so the call here, the more philosophical call here, is for us to be a lot more self-aware about what that is and fix up the things that are peculiar to us.
What a way to wrap up the conversation. Please make some noise for my panelists.